Okay, welcome to week 2 of your online puppy course. Hopefully you've had a chance to practice the name game, your yes marker, and sending your dog to their place or their bed from the induction that you did last week. What we're going to do today is we're just going to go through a few little exercises. We've got our volunteer puppy who's helping us out, Dolly, so I'm going to do a few exercises with Dolly and show you the next part of your course. The first thing we're going to work on is your attention to name, so we're just going to refresh on a few bits that you've been practicing this week. So we'll just grab Dolly and then we'll do the attention to name exercise first thing. Okay, so this is Dolly. This is our puppy for our demos. She's a Cocker Spaniel. The first thing we're going to do with Dolly is we're going to teach her to respond to her name. So with the name game, all we want the dogs to do when we call the name is to turn and make eye contact, look this way, essentially just pay attention. What the name isn't going to be is the name isn't a recall. So when I add my marker, remember that your timing is really important for this. All I'm going to mark is the moment she looks at me. I don't need to wait for her to come all the way back before she gets the reward. All I'm going to say is when I've called her name, I'll give her the marker and then she can run back and get the treat. What I will be doing is throwing the treat to the floor. What that'll do is mean that she'll automatically run and try and get the reward, so she's looking the other way, and then I can just set her up to play the game again, okay? So for example, all I'm going to do is call her name, and then when she looks, I'll mark that with the marker, not saying it yet. And then I'm going to grab a reward and then reward her with that, okay? So just wait for her to ignore me. We'll just wait for. So Dolly knows me quite well, so she struggles to ignore me quite a lot of the time. She also knows I've got a bag full of food. So what we've got in the corner is Lee trying to put her off. Dolly! Yes. Good girl. Did you miss that? No. Try that again. So all I'm going to do is wait for her to ignore me. Dolly, yes, good girl. So what I'm doing is, as soon as she looks away, I call her, Dolly, yes, good girl. Dolly, yes, good girl. Oopsie. Dolly, yes, good girl, that was a nice one. So all we want is just Dolly looks away. Dolly, yes, good girl. And all I'm looking for is just her to respond to me calling her name. Dolly, yes, good girl. Perfect, well done. Okay, so that's just the attention to name exercise. All you're doing, make the dogs, whatever hilarious noise you've chosen to name your dog, you're going to make that sound. Your dog looks at you, you mark that with the word yes, and then you feed your dog, okay? Then you let them get distracted again. When they're not looking, call their name. When they look at you, mark that with a yes, and then feed your dog, okay? Nice and easy. Off you go.
Hi, welcome back. I hope that training exercise went well for you. If you've got any problems and you want to put something on video for us to watch, we can have a look, take a look and give you some feedback to hopefully make it better for you. We're going to go on to the next exercise now, that is the place exercise or bed or mat. And we teach this exercise so we can give our dogs an opportunity to settle, to have a relax, have a bit of a chill. But first of all, we need to encourage our dogs into the correct place. And we're going to use our bribe, our lure, and we're going to move our dog once we've said the word. You can choose whatever word it is, a verbal cue. I personally use place, other people use bed or mat. So we're going to say the word and then we're going to use a gesture, a hand signal with a bribe to get our dogs into position. So, are we ready? Place. Yes. And when they're on the bed, on the place, then we can give them that reward. Aussie. Place. Yes. And one more. Place. Yes. Good boy. Notice this, that last time I actually threw the food away, the reward away. This will encourage your dog to get out of position, so it's easier for you to encourage them back on. Place. Yes. If your dog offers you a down or a sit position, that's absolutely fine. We do look at that and teach that later on. But for now, just getting your dog into position is brilliant. Place. Yes, good lad. So have a go at that and I'll see you in a few minutes. Okay, we're going to move on to the next exercise then, and this is a touch or a target exercise. And this is where we're going to encourage our dogs to touch with their nose our hand as a target. It's useful for different reasons. We're going to get our dogs used to following our hands, and then we can put that at the end of other stationary positions and other activities for our dog. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to use a bribe. This is an exercise. For some dogs, you may only need a couple of repetitions with the bribe when they get the idea of what it is that you want them to do, and then you can get rid of the bribe completely. So basically what we do is we put the bribe in this part of the hand, okay, and then we can close the hand so that when we open it, they will see a flat hand signal. Touch, yes. So once you've said the word touch, you open the hand, the dog will touch, and then you will give them the food. In any of these exercises, your body language and the height of your bribe will influence your dog's behaviour. If it is too high, then we're going to encourage a jumping situation. So try and get it within a line of the nose, okay, to keep your dog on the floor. Touch, yes, good boy. So let's see if you can do it without the bribe. Touch, yes, good lad. And then we get the reward. Touch, yes, good boy. Good lad. Touch, yes. Okay, have a go at that for me, and I'll see you in a few minutes. Hi, welcome back. I hope that went well for you. If you've got any problems or you want any feedback, then please feel free to upload a video. We'll watch it and we can give you that feedback to hopefully improve your training even further. Before we go on to the next exercise, I just want to talk to you briefly about the concept of energy levels when we're doing our dog training. And what I found useful is to explain it as the Prosecco effect or lemonade, okay? And basically what we're looking at is different levels of energy that we need to give our dog to meet their needs and to meet certain situations. So for example, the first one is fizz. So it's a lot of, oh, he's a good boy, Ozzy. He's a good lad. Oh, yeah, he's a good boy. And there, what we're doing, it's really positive, it's warm, it's fuzzy, and it's engaging. Other times, what we need to do is to get their attention. Ozzy! And we need to pop the cork, okay? So we're lifting the energy, and that means there's a burst, and then dogs are more engaged. Sometimes, though, Ozzy, good lad, good boy. We need to bring the energy levels down and we need to bottle it for them, especially when we've perhaps got a dog that's got a lot of energy that needs help to understand. Okay, we're going to move on to the first of our dynamic positions here, and we use the word dynamic because we're going to be moving to help and encourage our dogs into position. We're going to do the sit exercise, okay? We are going to be using a bribe. But what we have to also remember is the information that we give our dogs has to be very clear and understandable. And what we're going to do is we're going to give our dogs two different pieces of information that need to be separate. The first is a verbal cue, so we're going to use a word, and the second is going to be a hand signal. And it's really important that we give that information in separate steps to make sure that it's clear for our dogs to understand, okay? We're going to use dynamic movement. We're going to engage our dog to encourage them to follow us and make sure that they understand that we're moving and it's fun, because at the end of the day, dogs learn because it's fun. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to get our dog, a bit of a Bisto moment here, moving, moving, moving. We're going to pause. I'm going to say sit. And then I'm going to move my hand, yes. And when the point after which the bottom hits the floor, I say the word yes, and then I give the bribe. Okay, and again, so we're going to move into that position, sit. Yes, good boy, good lad. Okay, and one more. And pause, sit. Yes, good lad. And again, you don't have to give the reward from your hand. You can throw it away. Bonus of that is they then move out of position and then you can re-engage them really quickly to make it a fun exercise. Okay, so it's an opportunity for you now to go and practice that, and I'll see you in a few moments. Hi, welcome back. I hope that practice went well with the sit position. Now that they've had a bit of movement, I'd like you to go and offer your dog the opportunity to go outside, have a little bit of a toileting break, so they can come back fully refreshed. And then we'll move on to the next exercise, which is controlled socialisation.
Okay, welcome back. So hopefully all of your dogs, all your puppies have been out for a quick tinkle and a bit of a mooch around, so they're nice and refreshed and ready for the next game. So what we're going to do next is we're going to talk through how to appropriately socialise your puppies. We've got a couple of different dogs in the sidelines that we're going to allow Dolly to hopefully eventually interact with. But before we start that, I'm just going to go through how we approach another dog and appropriate ways to approach another person and their dog. So to start with, we do something called a controlled socialization. That's where we're going to ask our dogs to get into a static position. So it might be that sit that we've just taught already. So we'll get the dogs into a sit position. And then all we're going to do is just keep their attention and keep them nice and calm. You can drip feed them at this point, as long as they're nice and relaxed and they're not lunging at the other dog. So what we'll do is we'll bring Sam forward. We've got Sam, who is our blind Cocker Spaniel with Abigail, who's going to help us out with this. The reason for the controlled socialization, you'll notice just there, just because I have my eye off Dolly, is as soon as Sam got anywhere near, she started to lunge and started to run towards him. Unfortunately, if we allow dogs to greet when they're in that sort of heightened state of excitement, a lot of the time some of the dogs will either get way too excited or a little bit stressed out with the inappropriate greeting, and that's where accidents happen. So the first thing we want to do is make sure that both Sam and Dolly are nice and calm before they interact. So, Dolly, good girl. So we're going to get them to sit when they're around about 2 meters away, so 6 to 8 foot away, and we're going to keep them nice and calm. At this point, this allows us to, Dolly, good, sit. This allows us to talk to each other, and that way it means that you're able to ask permission from the other owner and check that it's appropriate for your dogs to interact, okay? Another reason for the gap, the 2 meter gap, is if your dogs do decide to lunge, so at different times, both Dolly's decided to lunge and Sam decided to lunge just a second ago. Dolly! That if they do both go at the same time, we're far enough away that the length of the leads means that they don't actually get anything positive out of that, so they can't actually ever greet, even if they do choose to ignore your sit, okay? So both dogs are nice and calm, both dogs are sat, and at this point I will ask, hello, can my dog say hello to your dog? Yeah? So if that's appropriate and we're happy with that, what we're going to do is allow the dogs to greet. We're going to walk them towards each other. Dolly, good girl, sit. And what we're looking for is nice, calm, relaxed body. Yes, good girl. Nice, calm, relaxed body language. And we want the dogs to sniff the back of the other dog, so the back side, really, in the bum or around the flank. What we don't want is the dogs learning to run up to the other dog. Dolly, and sit. Good girl. Run up to the dog and jump on their head. Absolutely no punching dogs in the face, nipping dogs, jumping on the other dog's heads. Dolly, good girl, sit. So all we want is that the dogs go over, have a little sniff, and we're going to keep the interaction nice and short so we can keep it short for success. And that way, so maybe between sort of 3 to 5 seconds, and then we're going to call the dogs away, okay? Are you ready? Sit. So you're going to tell him that you can say hello. That's a good girl. And then we're going to allow them to go forward. So tell him you can say hello. Go on then, say hello. Good girl. Yes, Dolly. Well done. Nice and short, and then call your dogs away, okay? So she's gone to say hello, had a little bit of a sniff around Sam. She's a little bit of a freeze. She was a little bit unsure because they're both quite giddy dogs. So then all we do is just call her away, reward her for that nice, relaxed interaction, and then we can try again, okay? So if you want to just take Sam back out of shot, and we'll have a little relax for a second. Okay, so the next bit of socialization we're going to look at is what to do when you come across sort of multiple dogs, and also to kind of sort of hammer home the fact that when you do come across dogs, when you're out on walks, whenever you see someone else with a dog, it's really important to remember that your dog you don't want to build an expectation in your dog's mind that every time you see another dog, or if they simply see other dogs playing, that it's that they're going to get involved. Sometimes you're just going to take your dog for a walk, they're going to see another dog, and you just want to carry on past. So what we're going to do this time is we're going to bring 2 dogs into the mix. We're going to have Sam, our blind Cocker Spaniel. We're going to have Roxy, who's my dog. We're going to let these 2 interact, and I'm going to show you how to keep your puppies nice and calm when there are other dogs in the vicinity. Okay. So the way we do that, again, exactly the same distances, even with multiple dogs. So we'll talk about around about 2 meters away, and you're going to get your dogs nice and calm. So we'll get them into a sit or a down, whichever one's nice and relaxed. Make sure all the dogs are nice and relaxed first, and then we're going to ask permission. Again, remember it's really important that you must always, always ask permission before socialising your dogs. There's various reasons why dogs may not want to say hello. It's not always about aggression. You may have had your dog neutered or spayed and you need to keep them calm. You may, the other dog may be going through a training plan and not want to interact with another dog. So it's really important that you always check first. Don't just let your dogs run into the personal space of another dog, okay? So if we bring Roxy and Sam into shot, round about 2 meters away from me, Dolly! So Dolly and Roxy know each other quite well, so she's going to be a little bit more excited about this. Good girl. And at this point, we're going to just ask, if I don't drop the treats. There it is. Good girl. Dolly. Going to ask permission, so can the dogs interact? So I'm not going to get Dolly involved for this one, okay? So I'm just going to keep her nice and relaxed. And what I will be doing is when she looks, but she doesn't lunge, I'm going to reward her for looking. Yes, good girl. Well done. She did lunge there. Dolly! Yeah, good girl. Okay, and again, if you want to let these two say hello. Sit. Good. Well done. So Dolly's not allowed to interact with this one, so she's, yes, well done. So what we're teaching her, Dolly, sit. Good girl. Yes, well done. We'll just bring her this way so we can see. Sit. Good. Yes, well done. And all we're doing is just teaching her how to stay nice and calm around other dogs that are interacting. Okay? Perfect. And if you just want to take these guys back out of shot for me. Dolly, sit. Yes, well done. Okay, so, sorry. When we do eventually start to socialise your dogs in classes, then what we'll do is we'll be able to practice that a lot more. In the meantime, if you come across people on walks, you want to socialise them, remember that socialisation isn't always about them greeting, so you can still keep that distance from people whilst also socialising, okay? So while we're practicing that socialisation, obviously while we're not running classes, you'll be wanting to have a little practice of this while you're taking your dogs out and about. Remember, don't feel the pressure that to socialise your dog, you have to allow them to greet. Just like we just demonstrated with Dolly, it's also just as important to teach your dog that sometimes when they see a dog, it's not always about going and interacting. It's more about teaching our dogs how to be calm and relaxed in the presence of other dogs. Remember that socialisation isn't, can my dog play with everyone and everything? Socialisation is, does my dog understand how to behave in the presence of other dogs and other people? Do they understand how to share space? It's not always just let them play with everything they ever meet. So make sure that even if you're not interacting with other people, if you're keeping your distance, you can still socialise your puppies with absolutely no problems, because it's all about teaching them, yes, there's a dog there, try and stay nice and calm, and lots of good things will happen.
Hi. Okay, so we're going to go into the final exercise then for today's class, and this is going to be your foundation exercise for a recall, okay? Essentially what we want to do is encourage our dogs to come back to us using a word for recall. So you need to first of all think of what that word is, come, here, whatever. We do not use the dog's name for a recall. We only use their name to get their attention. So I'm going to show you two ways here. With lots of things in dog training, there are different ways to do it. So we're going to give you two examples. As well, you might find a particular way suits you better as the human. Okay, so one way might be a little bit too much movement for you personally, and so there is always an alternative. So what we're going to do is, again, we're going to use food to encourage our dog to move out of position so that they are away from us. We're then going to use their name to get their attention, and then we're going to put the recall command in, so they're going to come back to us. When they come back to us, we're going to say the word yes, and then we're going to give them the food. Okay, so out of position. Ozzy, come. Yes, good lad. So here, it's the boomerang method, so we throw the food away. When they're away, they come back to us. Oh, maybe if I do it a bit better. Ozzy, come. Yes, good lad. Okay. I'm also using a little bit of my body language. As you remember from the induction, we talked about body language being a primary form of communication. But this way, we're simply throwing the food forwards. Ozzy, come. Yes, good lad. And they return. The alternative version is a little bit more movement on our part, but it's the same principle, okay? So we're going to throw the food away from us. Ozzy, come. And then move forwards, yes, and then the other side. Ozzy, come. Okay, so we've got the two different versions. Okay then, so week 2 has come to the end. You may have noticed throughout today's session that I have used the word verbal cue or command, and it really doesn't matter the terminology for that. It's simply me being able to give Ozzy a piece of information for a behaviour that I'm wanting him to achieve and be successful at, okay? So I hope you have fun engaging your dog, practising the things that we've shown today, and I'll see you soon for week 3.